go ahead and get started. Tell them what we're talking about, and I'm going to get some of this tech stuff
Okay.
taken care of real quick here.
All right. Welcome to the 4T podcast. My name is Austin, and this is Brian. And today, what we're going to be talking about is traveling in Japan. We're going to give you some general tips about about coming to Japan, traveling in Japan, and some of the local laws, the regulations, and some of the things that you need to know when you do come to Japan. I will be talking about not only traveling in summer, but traveling throughout the year, and the different destinations in Japan that one should go to. So we'll start off with some of the rules to come to Japan. Many of the rules that I've prepared are from the U.S. Department of Travel. So I have some input, and Brian might have some extra things as well to give. So coming to Japan right away, you need to have obviously a passport. That's obviously.
Yes.
And if you come to Japan, if you're here under 90 days, you do not have to have a visa. If you're here over 90 days, you have to have a tourist visa. And one thing that you need to know before you come, especially if you're coming as an ALT, you cannot have a job as on a tourist visa. You have to already be sponsored and have a job when you come to Japan and have the worker's visa if you're going to work. When I came to Japan, I had no visa. I was staying here only for under 90 days. That's what I put on my passport, and I already had a job, which was completely illegal, but that was what I was told to do by my dispatch company. And then within the first month of being here, they took care of all the paperwork and gave me the visa that I needed to actually start working. One thing that's interesting, if you are a veteran coming to Japan, you alone, you do not technically need your passport if you have the correct paperwork when you come to Japan. If you're a soldier, you do not need any visas. You just need the clearance from the governing body that you're a part of, so Army or Navy. But if you are part of the family of the vet, of the soldier that is coming, you do need your passport.
Yep.
No matter what their clearance is, which was very interesting. I didn't know that before.
Right.
Yeah. If you work anything over 90 days, you have to go to your local immigration board and get the visa set there, and you have to have a sponsor as well. So most people's sponsors would be the dispatch company they come with.
Right.
Some of the other sponsors, if you don't have a job but you're staying somewhere, you can have the person that you're staying with be your sponsor as well. So they're responsible for you if you do anything in Japan.
Yep.
While you're here. So that's some of the rules coming to Japan. Can you think of any things I've missed? 90-day permits, having your passport, obviously.
Yeah. And this is just to get into Japan?
Just getting into Japan right away.
Yeah. No, I think that covers most bases.
Yeah.
This is basically for U.S. citizens because other countries have different visas. Like you have working day visa.
Yes.
From the UK.
I think the holiday is it
holiday visa?
It's a working holiday visa, something to that effect.
I think it's 6 months or 7 months or something like that. You come here and you can work a certain number of hours while being a tourist.
It's something, something to that effect.
It's something where you cannot work full time.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of my friends who came through either Australia or England or the United Kingdom, they were on that visa coming in.
Yeah.
And so they were just either there's a student visa where you can work part-time, but you have to go to university, you have to be enrolled, or you can be the working tourist visa.
Yeah. But the U.S. does not have a working tourist visa. As a matter of fact, If you get caught working on a tourist visa, you will be deported.
Yeah, and one thing about that, if you get deported, it's almost guaranteed you won't be welcome back in Japan because of that.
Up to 10 years, is it?
I think
it's something really ridiculous.
They're very strict about that. So that's one thing that really, when I was researching this, really kind of made me a little angry, because I came in, the dispatch company said, just come in, we'll start working, and that's 100% illegal.
Yeah.
So do your research before you come, especially if you're an American.
Yep.
One thing that's started happening when I came to Japan 10 years ago, there was no fingerprinting or taking pictures.
Yep.
But more and more it's become not automated, but it's been required that you have to get fingerprint scans. Only foreigners have to get fingerprint scans and face recognition photos taken upon entry and exit from Japan.
Yep.
Which is interesting.
Oh, don't forget to talk about the what is it, the Zaido card, the residence card.
Yes.
Usually if you're coming in and you're not on a tourist visa and you're coming in to work and you went through all the connections to get to like all the hoops that you had to jump through to go through the embassy, to get all the stuff for your work visa, to get your what is it, certificate of eligibility. Yeah. Once you've gone through all that and you've brought it to Japan, you then hand that over to the customs officer, and they give you your card after taking your picture.
Yeah.
And this card that they give you, however long the visa is for, is something that is probably more important than your driver's license everything you could possibly have. This basically says that I can legally be in Japan for the period that's on the card.
Yeah, if you do not have the card, or you lose the card, the process to get it back or to make a new one is incredibly involved. So the card, think of it like your Social Security card, kind of.
Yeah.
For Americans, at least. Yeah. Another thing, let's see. So Zaido card. One thing that you don't really need coming to Japan, but if you stay here for a while, you will have your My Number.
Yep.
And the My Number is essentially the Japanese Social Security system.
Yep.
In simplified. So when you live in Japan, you will get a My Number, and it's in your best interest to have that memorized when you leave and come back into Japan, because you never know what will happen when you leave or come back.
Right, and that My Number was just issued. Was it 2 years ago?
It was very recently. Yeah.
Very, very recent, and it's one of those things. The problem that they're actually having with it is it's easy to hack.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, no, like quite literally, like all of your personal information is on it.
Yeah.
And if you drop this card and someone picks it up, you are screwed.
Oh yeah, yeah. That.
Think of it this way: this My Number card is basically the number and everything on it gives you the ability to create credit cards, to take out loans, to do anything with finances and whatnot. If someone gets that, they can totally screw you over, and they don't really give you a replacement.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, trying to go through the replacement process was ridiculous. I remember, watching the news about how people have basically been scamming to get the My Number card so they can take out just huge amounts of like credit cards and whatnot.
Wow. Yeah, so it's kind of a mess at the moment, but it's definitely something you need to have.
Yep.
Or at least I wouldn't carry anything around with it written down or a card, but if you can memorize it like people memorize their Social Security numbers,
Yep.
That's probably the best bet to keep your information safe.
Yes.
Now, if you do lose your My Number card or your passport or anything else, there's a couple different options you have when coming to Japan. If you're just visiting, you can go to the embassies or go to the immigration office. So if you're an American, there's Tokyo, Osaka, Fukuoka, Sapporo, Nagoya. all of these places have a U.S. embassy. If you can prove that you're an American citizen, go there. They can take care of everything for you there.
Mm-hmm.
Other countries as well. If you're in the Tokyo area, they can help you as well if you have any problems.
Right.
Yeah. So that's always important to before you come to Japan to know that before you start traveling in Japan.
Right.
So once you get that all set, then it's time to come and travel in Japan.
Yay.
Yay, finally. So let's just talk about our favorite places in Japan to travel.
To travel? Oh,
Yeah.
where have you gone?
In Japan, I haven't traveled so many places. Of course, Tokyo. Everyone's been to Tokyo.
You
Ibaraki.
go once. Just once.
So within Tokyo, Shibuya, of course, Akihabara, Harajuku. Those are the nice places. I've also been to Ibaraki.
Yep.
I have family out there. Okinawa, and then Akita
Yep.
is for me. How about you? Where have you been?
I've been to Oita and Beppu, where
Okay.
they have what they call sunaburo, which is the sand onsen, where they literally
Ooh.
take a shovel
Yeah,
and the hot water and they cover you in
Yep.
sand. I've been to Nagasaki. I've been to obviously Kyoto, Nara, Osaka. I went to Nagano. Nagano is
Ooh.
amazing.
Really?
Like it's one of those things. Like obviously they had like their big thing was like the 1998 Winter Olympics sort
Yeah.
of thing, and they still have all of the stuff up from the 1998 Winter Olympics. But no, to walk around there, absolutely amazing, breathtaking.
Oh, Nagano is a wonderful place. When I actually came to Japan the first time, as 10 years ago to be an ALT, I was driven around to a lot of different places to be interviewed for
Mm-hmm.
being an ALT.
Yep.
The company I came in, they were trying to get contracts in other prefectures,
Yep.
and so they used me for some odd reason, and I got taken to Nagano, and some other places to interview to try and get the contracts.
Yep.
It was a beautiful place. Just
Yeah,
beautiful.
I've been to Tokyo. Not a fan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's obviously one of those places you want to go once to say that you went there, but it's a lot of the same.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's the maid cafes. There's the robot cafe.
Gundam Cafe.
There's a lot of cafes in Japan.
The one thing I will say that if you were coming to Japan on a budget, Tokyo is not the place you want to
Oh
stay.
God, no,
Ever.
no.
Ever. You're better off taking a train an hour out of Tokyo to go to some suburb, or even if you're on the bullet train, going up to like Fukushima or going up to what is it, like Sendai, or even going farther down south to like Nagoya.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised at how much money you actually save and how much you can actually see in Japan with that.
Oh no, and just speaking about the Shinkansen and the local trains and the buses, when you come to Japan, you can, if you are a foreigner only, you can get something called a JR pass.
Yep.
And so anything that is Japan Rail JR associated, you can essentially ride for free and go anywhere you want.
Yep.
It's available only, you can purchase it only in Japan if I remember correctly.
If there's like a 1, 2, 3, and 4 week pass.
Yeah,
if I'm
something
not
like that,
mistaken. And it's like as you go up, obviously it increases incrementally, but there is like what is it? You get a certain percentage off the higher you go up.
Right, yeah. And with that, you can get on any JR bus, which are the really nice buses that go cross country. There's the JR local tracks and the Shinkansen.
Yeah.
And you can hop on the Shinkansen and literally go anywhere in
And
Japan.
when we say Shinkansen, we're talking about the bullet train.
Yes. Sorry. Yes, the bullet train.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one of the other things is that if you're riding on the bullet train, you have this pass. There's 2 different passes. There is the premium pass and the regular pass. If you've got the regular pass, you can only sit in what they call the GU Seki, or the free seats.
The free seats.
If you've got the premium pass, that means that you can actually go and reserve seats and make sure you actually have a seat on the train, so you don't have to stand the entire time.
Now, I haven't really looked into the JR Pass. Do you know, can you, with the, can you apply for the green car or anything else like that? The more luxurious cars? Have you heard anything
I
about
think. Well, here's the thing: the JR Pass is supposed to save you money while you're traveling around Japan. The people that are going to pay for that green pass or green card probably don't need to save
Yeah,
money.
that's
on the
true,
passes
yeah.
like that.
that? Yeah, that's true.
I mean, when you're dropping like $400 or $500 for a 1 hour trip
Yeah.
on a trade ride, I don't think you really need to get that special pass.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so in Bullet Train there's the normal seating and then there's the green car and grand class.
Yeah.
Right? And so think of it like first class, business class, economy.
Yeah.
Most people ride in economy, then green car is business, and then grand class is first class.
Anybody that would drop $2,000 to fly for an hour in first class, I don't think that they have to worry about getting these passes.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be their friend, but yeah, they won't they won't pay for it, definitely. Yeah. So getting around in Japan, traveling in Japan, probably one of your safest bets to go get around fast on a budget is a JR Pass.
Definitely.
And that way you can pretty much have access to anywhere in Japan.
And if you're coming during peak season where it's going to be like a Japanese vacation period and whatnot, expect to stand the entire time if you got the free pass.
Yeah.
And expect there to be very like minimal amount of room. So if you're bringing 2 giant suitcases with you, it's going to be impossible.
Yeah, you're gonna be sitting on top of your suitcases if
Yep.
you're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll have to shove your suitcase behind the seats if there's not any places in the holding areas. So
That's provided you actually get a seat.
exactly.
And if you're going like someplace, if you're trying to go to from Tokyo to Aomori,
Ooh.
and you're on that long train, like 4-hour train ride,
Yeah, it's 4 or 5 hours. Oh.
yeah, and that's on the bullet train.
Yeah.
You might expect to stand for 4+ hours on
Yeah.
that train if you've got the free seating.
Yep. Yeah, and if you don't have the free seating, there's also there's the areas in between where there's the trash cans are located and the bathrooms are located. You can always stand there and sit down on the ground.
Yes, but
You just look really strange.
yeah, and you look really strange, and you deal with the smell of urine and feces.
And you also have to deal with the cart ladies who come by and turn around in those areas. The snack ladies who come through.
Right, that charge snacks at prices that are twice the price of a convenience store.
Oh man, it's highway robbery. Yeah.
Yeah. No, the highway robbers are saying it's highway robbery.
So yeah, the JR Pass, the Shinkansen, and anything JR is a really good way to get around in Japan.
Yep.
What are some of the places that you would recommend people to come to when they're traveling around Japan?
It all depends on what kind of person you are and your financing. So I would say that if you have money to spend and you want to like spend a lot of money, experience a whole bunch of things like clubs and whatnot, Tokyo and Roppongi is going to be your go-to place.
Yeah.
If you are the kind of person that you want to see traditional Japan, you want to see how things like looked in old Japan and whatnot, definitely want to go down to like Kyoto or Nara.
Definitely, yeah.
And I mean, you can go to any like Nagoya also has some really nice buildings, whatnot. Tohoku even has some really good places to
Oh
visit.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like near where we live near the Sendai area, there's a place in Yamagata which is next to Sendai called Yamadera. Yamadera literally means mountain temple.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. If you ever get a chance to take the train there, and you can get off the train and walk straight up the mountain to it.
Yeah, and
Beautiful
you
views.
Yeah, to hike up the mountain. I've been there multiple times. It's an amazing place, absolutely amazing. So, in all honesty, if you are the adventurous type and you want to be in rugged Japan, and you want to be where there's absolutely no English speakers at all, and you have to rely entirely on your Japanese, Tohoku is the place to come.
Yeah, Tohoku, the northern part of Japan is a really nice place to come.
Yep.
Yeah, it's definitely 100% different than anything in Tokyo or lower Japan.
I mean,
southern Japan.
I run that that YouTube channel with Guido TTJ.
There you go.
So I go to different locations around Tohoku and whatnot. Iwate has got Chusonji, which has traditional Japanese like folklore legend attached to it between like Yoshitsune and Benkei. You can go up to Aomori and visit the Buddy Christ.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Apparently, there's a place in Aomori where Jesus escaped, so he didn't have to die on the cross, and lived in Aomori for until he died.
Right. Yeah.
And he has this like tomb and everything like there. And then you can go to Akita. I mean, Akita has Namahage.
That's the Namahage.
Yep. You have the origins of the Namahage, which is this demon that comes and takes and scares children into being good.
Yep.
In the contemporary. In the traditional, he actually ate the children that were bad.
Didn't he have a basket and he put him in the basket and took him home and then ate him? Yep.
Yep, just like the Krampus.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep, and then there is like Yamagata has that Yamadera. They also have that, in between Sendai and the Yamagata border, there's the two mountains they have.
Zao.
And the river that runs through there.
What is the river? Oh, that's gonna bug me now.
Yeah, Sakunami has the absolute best onsen in all of Japan that I have ever been to, and I've been from everywhere from Kyushu all the way up to here in Tohoku. Haven't been to Hokkaido yet, so I haven't been to Okinawa yet. But out of all of the onsen I've ever been to, Sakunami Ichinobu's hotel has the absolute best onsen I've ever been to in my life.
Wow, high praise.
Yes, and that is in Yamagata. And Miyagi has Tashirojima, which is the Cat Island.
Yep.
And they also have the Fox Park. Fox Village is also in Miyagi.
Yes.
And then Fukushima has Nakano Fudoson. They also have Minka-en. In Minka-en, they have a traditional Japanese swordsmith that goes there and does displays on how to make traditional Japanese swords with the old forge, the old hammer, anvil, bellow, the whole 9 yards. So I mean, there are many, many different things to see in Tohoku, and I would highly recommend coming here because not a lot of people come here.
Yeah.
And Matsushima.
There you go, Matsushima. What is special about Matsushima?
Well, Matsushima was one of they call the Nihon Sankei, the three most scenic spots in Japan, according to a traditional poet. So this poet went to these locations and decided that these three locations were the most scenic places to visit. Matsushima has some of the most beautiful islands that you can see. You can take boats out to see them, and definitely a great place to visit.
That poet is Matsuo Basho.
Exactly.
Yes. And if you're traveling in Japan and you have a month, you can actually follow the Matsuo Basho Trail from Tokyo, Edo, to up to Matsushima.
Yep.
And there's you can find all the different spots he stopped, and I think there's also a checklist. You can get a book and you can get the checklist as you go from that. So that might be something to check out if you have some extra time when you're in Japan.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I mean, those are different locations that you can go to see, and that those would be my recommendation. Now, I've been down south as well, and what I will say is that a lot of people, when they go vacationing in the summertime. It's hot.
Yeah.
Super hot. We're talking 40 degrees Celsius or 102 for the temperature.
Yep. Yeah, especially down south. A lot of people go to Okinawa because there's an American basis, so there's a lot of English speaking, so it's easier to survive, I guess.
Yep.
But it's also stupidly hot.
Yeah.
And in Okinawa, you have to deal with more typhoons than anywhere else.
Right.
So you kind of get a trade-off. If you come up north, it's not so hot, but there's not so much fluent English speaking unless you're by a base.
Yep. And there's actually, I think in the Tohoku region, the only base that's around here is actually in Aomori, and I think it's a Air Force base.
I believe you're right. Yeah, Aomori Mitsu. I can't remember the name, but yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. You're correct.
Yeah, then there's 2 bases that are in Tokyo, and then there's one more base. I want to say it's Hiroshima. It's either Hiroshima or Nagasaki. One of those two have.
I think you're right. I'm pretty sure it's Hiroshima.
Yeah, like there's the 4 main bases on the main island, and then there's the one in Okinawa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the one in Okinawa always has the press. Yeah, nobody
Yes.
likes it there.
Yep.
So, yeah. And just talking about the seasons, if you want to come during the winter, Japan has some amazing skiing as well.
Oh yeah.
Miyagi, Yamagata, Nagano,
Yep.
of course, they're just lovely places to ski. You can do Nagano. I know that they do heli skiing too. So
Yep.
if you're an extreme skier, you can actually rent a helicopter and have them take you up and down as many times as you want.
Yep. But Zao.
And Zao, of course, yeah.
Zao is where people go around the area that we live to go skiing.
Yep.
Really, everybody talks about Zao.
Yeah, Zao is a nice place to come if you in the Tohoku Miyagi area,
Definitely.
Miyagi Yamagata area.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, what tips would you have for somebody who's trying to travel around Japan?
The tip I would have for someone coming to Japan is that cash is king in Japan.
Yep.
You can carry a credit card with you; it's safer, but not all places accept the credit cards.
Yep.
Especially if you're in the Inaka areas, the places outside of the cities, you may not be able to use your credit card. So cash is
Yep.
king. Have some cash in your pocket, and then have some stashed away in like a stash pocket in your pants or somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
just for emergencies.
Yep. Cash is king. Other thing to keep in mind is that while everybody goes to the convenience stores to buy drinks, to buy food, and all this other stuff, keep in mind that you can save a lot of money, especially if you're on a budget, by going to drugstores instead.
Yes, drugstores or little ma and pop stores as well.
Yep.
If you can find them.
Yep.
And they're more prevalent out in the sticks, out in the Inaka.
Yep. But you can save like in between 40 and 50% off of drinks and whatnot just by going into a local drugstore and just picking stuff up.
Yeah, all the drugstores have, of course, cosmetics, drugs, and they have snacks and drinks as well.
Yep.
And of course, cup ramen, and if you need, diapers or anything else, those are real convenience stores.
Yeah, no, that and like their prices are comparable to that of like the grocery stores. So the only reason why I say to go to the drugstore is usually that they're more common than grocery stores
Yeah, you'll find them scattered around
because you have like what is it, Yakuodo,
Yakuodo,
Tsuruha.
Tsuruha. There's
Is
a
that-
couple more.
It's
Yeah.
not Uchiwa. Is it Uchiwa?
It's like Uchiwa or
Uchiha?
Uchiha Sasuke. Naruto. Didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, I know one of them is like Uchiwa. I think it's like Uchiwa, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And there's a couple other ones, but Penguin.
Penguin. Yeah,
What
that's
is
right.
it, Penguin Drug?
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that before. I've never
Yep.
gone in, but I've seen it. Yeah.
Yep, that's another one to go to.
Yeah.
But if you go in there, you can definitely get things a lot cheaper.
Yeah, you can get things a lot cheaper. One thing you cannot get is cigarettes.
Yes.
Just for people who smoke in Japan, smoking is fairly acceptable in Japan. You can pretty much smoke anywhere. They're slowly kind of phasing that out, though. You
Yep.
can't, not in restaurants, and you have to be, 3 meters away or something.
Yeah.
If you do smoke in Japan, there are smoking stores,
Yep.
and you can also get the tobacco from the vending machines, but you need a paso or saifukeitai or something like that to pay for them.
Yep.
So, yeah, that's a little
Well,
bit.
except at the convenience stores, you can pay cash there.
Yeah, if you can pick them up there.
Yeah, if you need to get cigarettes, you can go to any grocery store, or you can go to any convenience store and pay cash to get them. You don't have to have like what is it, the Taspo or Pasto?
Yeah,
or
the
whatever.
paso and any of those. Yeah.
Yeah, and I quit smoking like 6 years ago. So.
Yeah. So it doesn't really apply for us, but
Well, no, I
That's-
mean I used to buy cigarettes in Japan.
oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it? The other thing I was going to say. I had a brain
I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry.
fart.
But any other tips for traveling around in Japan? We have
Oh, yeah, definitely. If you are going to go to, I just remembered my thought. What is it? If you're going to be going to any traditional kind of like temple, you're going to go to any like grounds, anything that deals with traditional Japan, opens at 9, closes at 4. Every place is the same. Do not expect to be able to get into the place at 8 o'clock in the morning or at 4:01 at night. It will not work.
Yeah, yeah. Any of the definitely that holds true for pretty much anywhere, any of the traditional places in Japan.
Yeah, so any temple you want to go to, any shrine you want to go to, any what is it? Like an example, like if you're in Kyoto, Inari Taisha, Kinkakuji, the Golden Pavilion, Nijojo, that castle that they have there, and whatnot, opens at 9, closes at 4.
Yeah, and of course this is Japan, so they're very strict about the time. So
Very strict.
you'll be told definitely by the staff whether you can come in or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So also keep in mind that while generally in Japan you are not supposed to eat and walk at the same time, it's considered rude. But I would honestly say that if you're if you're moving and it's lunchtime and you're trying to get to all these different traditional locations before they all close, eat and walk. Just eat and walk and go to the locations. Because trying to sit down and eat or trying to sit down and like pay for something and eat and whatnot, that just eats into your time.
Yeah, it is rude traditionally from the Japanese standpoint, but if you're here and you don't have the time and you don't have the budget to sit down and take your time,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's not a huge taboo. Like
It's like one of those things. Like I got a week. I got to see everything. I got to like if that is your what's going on with you, then you definitely need to eat while you're walking.
yeah, you're not hurting anyone. People may look at you weird, but you're not hurting anyone.
Do you know why? Like someone told me why. Like I think it was my wife that actually told me why Japanese people don't eat and walk.
Well, I don't know why. I've been told that it's a very gaijin thing to do.
Yeah. No, apparently in Japan, the belief is that if you do not sit down to eat, you will get indigestion.
Well, I can see that. That's an interesting train of thought.
Right, like a stomach ache, indigestion.
Yeah.
So that is the general thought process.
It's
behind
like
that.
swimming after you eat.
Yep.
Kind of makes sense, yeah.
Except for that's not true.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah. Like people say that it's not true.
Mm.
Just kind of like with Japan, like people say that you get indigestion, but you don't.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of interesting things traveling through Japan.
Yep. Yeah. Like when he was saying cash is king, there are places that you will walk into, and they'll say you put down a card, and they'll just be like, nope.
Yeah.
Just no. Like, an old guy, he's got to be in his 70s at this, what is it, ramen shop, saw someone slap down a card, and he just looks at him and goes, no. And then he says, cash.
Yeah, that's definitely, especially at restaurants.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll get that a lot. Restaurants are smaller shops as well. Yeah.
Oh, another thing. If you want to drive in Japan, if you're in the United States, and I know this, I'm not really sure with other countries, but in the United States, if you can get an international driving permit, you go down to AAA, you have to take a picture, a specific size and whatnot, and take your driver's license down, and you can get your international driving permit for like $20.
Yep, and it's good for 3 months?
1 year.
Is it 1 year?
It's
okay.
1 full year.
1 full year, yeah. So I don't think you'll need it for 1 year if you're just visiting, but it's definitely convenient. When I came to Japan for the first time, I had my international driver's license.
Yep. And what is it? That'll allow you to basically drive everything except for a big truck.
Yeah.
I think it's anything over 2 tons.
Does that include the little scooters as well?
Yeah.
Does it? Oh, okay.
Like it has to be a scooter that's under 50 cc's, I think.
Okay.
like the engine size.
Right. Yeah.
Other than that, you have to get like a motorcycle license.
Well,
But,
there you go.
no, but that's definitely a fun way to travel around, especially if you get to drive a K car,
Ooh. Yeah. Yeah.
which is like a little clown car with the 660cc engine.
Yeah. You got to wind it up every time you get in.
Yep. Crank it up, and then it's almost small enough that you have to mix the oil and gas together to get the engine to work.
Yeah. They're close to the size actually. Yeah. Little
Right.
lawnmower engine.
Right, and they're so small and boxy that. Oh, what is it? We got someone here in chat. I've heard that food is really cheap there, like pasta, for less than $1 American dollar. Is that true? Well, I mean, there's places like Caesarea. What is it? You can get super cheap pasta there. I highly recommend going there for getting pasta.
Now, the one thing about pasta though is it's not, unless you go to an actual Italian restaurant, you'll get ketchup for the base of
Yep.
everything. But it is super cheap around here. Foreign foods like pasta and whatnot,
Mm-hmm.
it's very cheap.
Definitely. That's actually a really, really good question. And like you can get pasta at your local convenience store for like $1, $2, and whatnot. Like it's really cheap.
Yeah, the at the convenience stores there's all the bentos that you can get. Yeah, and you can get the pasta bentos they're huge for very cheap. So yeah, it's a good.
But keep in mind, like you said, like if you're looking for the red sauce one, it's going to be ketchup based.
It's 100% ketchup unless you go to an actual Italian restaurant
Right.
where they know what they're doing.
And if it's a cheap Italian restaurant, you can expect the ketchup base as well.
Yeah, they get creative sometimes with the cream sauces and the oil sauces, but for the most part,
Oh, and if you see anything that's Napolitan,
ooh,
Napolitan
yeah.
is a Japanese style sauce for pasta, and that one is ketchup based.
Yeah, I had never heard of that before coming to Japan, and that is all you get when you're in Japan.
Yeah, like any little side shop that has quote unquote pasta, they're making Napolitan, and Napolitan is ketchup based.
It's pretty much ketchup based, and they throw in some onions, fresh onions every once in a while.
Yep.
So, yeah, pasta's cheap. Other things that are pretty cheap around here, of course,
Rice balls.
anything rice balls. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Yeah, if you're looking to buy cheap food, you can actually get cheap food at the convenience store.
Yeah, and one thing that I really like is they have burritos now. Burrito style things.
Oh, so is the age of consent really that low in Japan? Yeah, no, I've actually heard about this. The age of consent is technically 16.
Are we talking about drinking or marriage or smoking?
I think they're
or...
talking about personal relationships.
Ah, okay. Yes, it is technically 16.
Yes.
I believe there is a law set, of course, for if there is something going on in the crown where there's not an heir, where they can marry at 13, but that's only for royalty. So a lot of people skew that to say that Japanese people are perverts, but it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
It has to do with royalty.
Yeah, it has more to do with let's just say that the emperor had a son late in life, and the son, after the son turned like 13 or whatnot, or like their 12th birthday going on 13, and then the emperor dies, they have to have that person married to somebody in the family so that they can continue the family line. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to have a child at the age of 13.
Yeah, exactly. And that law has been actually taken out of context a lot in the past,
Right.
like 10 years. Yep.
So, one of the other things that, with the age of consent is that that is only for the 16 years of age is only for dating, if I'm not mistaken.
That is, yeah. Anything else for talking about consent? Drinking is 20, and
20.
smoking is 20 as well.
Exactly.
Voting, what is voting?
Voting is 18, if
18,
I'm not
yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah, so it's kind of a wide range of ages,
Right.
which is interesting. Kind of confusing, but interesting.
Well, it makes sense in certain contexts. Like you have like the whole traditional aspect of coming of age, and you have the coming of age like ceremony when somebody turns 20 in Japan.
Right. Yeah.
So there's like the whole gambling aspect. You have to be 20, you
Yeah.
know, drinking, smoking, and whatnot. But when it comes to other legal aspects like voting or renting pornography,
Yeah. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah.
yeah, it's 18.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is interesting. Yeah. So, what else? Is there anything restriction-wise you would give any advice about when being in Japan, traveling in Japan?
When traveling in
Yeah,
Japan,
any restrictions? Obviously, the age of consent is something to keep in mind.
exactly,
Anything else you can think of?
that you would
Need to know before you come to Japan or while you're in Japan?
do not drink a thing of alcohol and drive whatsoever.
That applies to bicycles, skateboards, scooters, anything else as well, because those are considered vehicles in Japan.
Yeah,
And
and you will get picked up.
And if you were to hit someone on your scooter and you injure them, you will be in charge of their medical bills, and
Yep.
you will be charged for DUI or SUI, scooter while under the influence.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone's gotten SUI before.
No, what is it? Yeah.
I know there definitely have been BUIs before, a lot of BUIs.
Biking under the influence.
Biking under the influence, yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Because that used to be it used to only apply to driving a car.
Yep.
And then like somewhere around 2000 was it, I think, or something like that they incorporated bikes, because quite literally everybody would go take their bike to go out drinking and whatnot, and then they would take and what is it? Not drive. They just take their bike back, so the sidewalks would be filled. So
Right. Yeah.
our buddy here, Lil Mike, is asking,
Hi.
I've heard the Yakuza is like the mafia of the Japanese.
Yeah, they are.
Are they better or worse as for daily occurrences?
The Yakuza used to be in the late 80s, early 90s. They used to be a menace. I mean, 100%. Now they've kind of degraded into companies, like
yeah, they're
bureaucracy.
well, yeah, but one of the main things is that that with the Yakuza is that in the 80s, 90s, up until 2000, they basically were responsible for part of the corruption in the government.
Oh yeah, well yeah, of course.
And like a major portion of the government. The other thing is that they were running pachinko parlors as money
Yep.
laundering
Yeah,
joints. And now to this day, like you could never have anybody that was a part of the Japanese mafia be able to run a like pachinko parlor.
Right.
Pachinko parlor is basically slot machines and pinball rolled into one.
Yeah, it's weird
Yeah.
and noisy.
Anyway, but now since after 2000, when they had the huge crackdown in Japan, the mafia now run places of business that normally people don't actually flock to. So, like, you would have funeral homes.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's certain practices around funeral homes where people give tips or extra money to the person running the funeral home and whatnot, and that's how they run some of their money laundering.
Yeah. So they're not as prevalent as they used to be in terms of violence and being out on the streets, but they are still around.
The other thing is that, and this is actually a plus side to the Yakuza, and it's actually really strange. There were reports in Ishinomaki that before the government actually got into Ishinomaki, the Yakuza were out giving aid.
Oh yeah, they're violent and they're criminals, but they're also philanthropic. They help out after
Yeah.
the big earthquake. They were out in force.
Yep. No, but I mean, like, one of the main things with it is that what was it? Is a maxim that they use is like you can't get money from people who can't make a living.
Oh, okay.
It's
Yeah.
something along the lines, you help them to a point where they can help themselves, and then you open your business to them, and they will always remember. What is?
There you go.
It's like, what is it? In Japan, causing chaos is so counterculture that even the Yakuza do it. Or don't
everyone,
do it.
everyone
Don't do
saves
it.
face, and everyone wants to keep the peace.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, technically, yeah.
It's one of those things, like, if you are, like, belligerent, drunk, in a bar where there's Yakuza, and you do something really stupid, obviously there's going to be confrontation.
Oh, they're gonna take care of you.
But, I mean, I will be honest, I was in, and this is actually a story of mine. I was in Kyushu, down in Oita, at this public bath that's up on a mountain that is 100% public. Like, no, you don't have to pay. You just have to go there. Sharing a bath with a whole bunch of Yakuza guys, and you can tell because their entire bodies are covered in tattoos.
Yeah.
And coolest people to talk to.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been in a bath with any Yakuza, but you run into some every once in a while. They're not horrible people. They're just
Yeah, they sat down and talked with us for about 30 to 45 minutes. And I was like, my buddies were like, hey, look, there's people here. We can sit and chat with them. And I was like, do you see the sleeves?
Are you paying attention to
to,
the
like,
Oni and the dragon and all,
the giant sleeves of tattoos?
Yeah. Yeah, that's something changing though nowadays because everyone's got tattoos now.
Yep.
It's slowly changing. Piercings, tattoos everywhere.
Yep.
So, I mean, speaking of crime in Japan, just going off of the U.S. Tourist Board, one thing that they do warn about when coming to Japan, when you're in high traffic areas like in Tokyo, Sapporo, Roppongi, what's the Kabukicho?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the worst places in Japan.
Yep.
And so obviously stuff is going to happen.
Yep.
And so they always, there's no guns in Japan, or at least it's very rare. You have to go through a month-long process to get it. But, something that they were talking about on the website is, drugging people and taking their wallets and,
Yep.
everything else. They wake up in a dumpster somewhere. They're still alive, but they wake up with no clothes on, or, sexual harassment has been something that's kind of increased. Maybe not increased, but it's prevalent in those areas. Yeah.
Right. So Lil Mike is saying, so I agree with the government's ideals. The civilians are like 89% and the Yakuza are like 57%.
Yeah, everyone knows the Yakuza pretty much.
Yeah, no, I mean they are a lot of times you can tell who they are just by how they hold themselves in public around other people.
Now, there is a difference to be made between the Communist Party and Yakuza.
Yeah.
Just the ideals that they hold and the way that they hold the business that they do. The guys driving in the black buses.
Yeah.
Some places they want Japan to go back to the way it
That's
was.
the nationalists.
Nationalists. There you go. They want Japan to go back to the way it was, where the emperor and empress are in power, and they want it just pretty much everything to go back to normal.
Yeah, they park their vans just down the road.
Yeah, I've seen them. It's interesting. They always wave to me for some reason.
Yeah.
Kind of scary. It's like,
Are they waving to you or are they telling you goodbye?
I know, I don't know. But no, the Nationalist Party and the Yakuza, they kind of, people think that they're combined together, but
No.
it depends on, if you go to Osaka, sometimes the local chapters have been infiltrated by Yakuza, and they control business that way, but a lot of those things, they're separated, and that's something to remember when you come to Japan and you hear the old music playing and you see the black trucks coming through. They're not necessarily Yakuza.
Exactly. But we should take a break here, and we'll be coming back and we'll be talking about, what's it, Henro?
I think Henro or tea ceremonies or something like that next.
Yeah, okay. So we will be back in about 10 minutes or so. Give us a chance here to take a quick break, and we will talk to you a bit, and we'll see you in a little bit, Lil Mike.
Bye.
Bye-bye.